Hey, how's it going, guys? Today I'm checking out the Aosin S7 tablet, available for under $70 on Amazon. Now I want to thank Aosin for sending this out for a review unit. So on the back we have all the specs here. So it's got a 7-inch 1024 by 600 IPS display. Now it's good that it's IPS because you won't have problems with the viewing angles. I'll show you in just a second. MTK8321 quad-core processor, 1 gig of RAM, 16 gigs of internal storage, a front 2 megapixel and rear 5 megapixel camera, a 2800 milliamp hour battery, Android 7.0. Then it's got a microSD card support, as well as the 3G network frequencies that are supported down here. Now I unfortunately won't be able to check out the 3G version or check out the internet because I don't have a GSM carrier. I'm with the CDMA carrier, Sprint. So actually got the tablet itself. We've got a micro USB cable, a user manual, and a wall outlet to charge the micro USB cable through, or to charge the tablet through. So on top here we have the 2 megapixel camera, and then it seems like there's a bit of a small speakerphone up here. I wonder if it emits sound from like videos you watch too. Then on top here you have the micro USB card slot, a micro 3.5mm headphone jack, the camera on the back that's protruding a little bit, and there's flash too. That's pretty impressive. On the side you have the volume keys, the power button, and a reset button. Then on the bottom you have the speaker. The top you can pry open. It's actually a little hard to. I use this knife. Once you have it open, you can get to the micro SD card slot, as well as the, I'm going to take a guess that this is the nano SIM slot. You can actually peel the top off, and there's still a screen protector on it. Setup was pretty simple to go through. You have all these apps that come pre-installed. You can uninstall some of them if you'd like. One thing I did notice is that actually a few things. Number one, there's a little bit over 11 gigs out of the box, so that's not bad at all. Then the other thing was that it seems like a lot of the RAM is being used already from Android. So it's a 651 megabits are used out of 0.94, so there's not much room left. There's about a little over 200 megabits of RAM available to use. Then go all the way on the bottom and you've got Android 7.0 here.
So the tablet has a relatively nice rubberized feel.
So one thing I noticed is that when you're playing it at 720p, the video tends to lag or stutter a lot. I mean, you can see that from here. You can watch the original video if you want. It's the iView Megatron 2.
Overall, you got the
it's better at 480p. I guess that makes sense. It makes sense because it's got a 1024 by 600 resolution, so it can support up to that much, not any higher. So that's a little unfortunate, but you can still watch videos in 480p, not HD unfortunately though. And then the speaker on the back, it's okay. It's just like any other cheap tablet to me. You can cover it in one finger and it'll get covered up. It doesn't easily get covered up though, because you have these two little dots here, so you can tell if your finger is near the speaker or not. So on the Geekbench score, it gets a single score of 306, and then the multi-score is 876. So that's still relatively low, as to be expected for the price point. And then on the Antutu benchmark, it got a score of 17,000. The previous score was around 15,600, so it ranges around there. And then if we go into my device, it shows that it's got the MT8321M processor with a Mali 400 MP GPU, and then everything else that we saw before. So the rear-facing camera is actually pretty good. It's only 5 megapixels, but it's still impressive from what I see, or what I notice. It's like, yeah, it's relatively clear, you can read this stuff. And it's not like super bright or anything, but this is good to take notes on like stuff you might have from class, or for instance. It seems like you gotta have a steady hand to be able to, for the shot to come out well, otherwise it might come a little blurry. Kinda like, wow, that looks really blurry. Maybe it's just processing. But yeah, it's definitely not smooth. It looks grainy. You can still read PowerShot Alpha 100 HS on here. You can see the 12.1. You can't really decipher that on there past that. Okay, so I took a picture inside a dark place, and I turned the flash on because there is flash on the back like I showed before. And usually tablets, especially at this price point, don't have flash on the back or anywhere. Regardless, I took a picture and it still came out to be pretty well. Now the only thing is that it was blocking the area here the flash was, and so you can't really read this clearly down here. Took a few of them, and overall for the most part they came out pretty well. This one came out well, so did this one. Overall they're decent cameras from what we see compared to the previous years of tablets having like 0.3 megapixel or just a 2 megapixel rear camera. The first game we're checking out is Monster Dash. Now all the games I check out here are going to be free. You can download them in the Play Store. I was going to say the App Store, but that's Apple. And so far it looks alright. I noticed very slight frame rate drops, or like stutters I want to say. Kind of like, well, not this one, but maybe it's harder to see on the camera versus in person, but it's still playable. It's like maybe I'm just being a little too nitpicky on that. The next game we're checking out here is Fruit Ninja. So far the gameplay looks good. It's you notice a little bit more of a frame rate drop when there's more fruits around, and it doesn't look as smooth as how I've seen it on other devices, but again, it's still playable. The third game we're checking out here is Subway Surfers, and I usually don't test out this many games, but I just want to make sure that there's not too much of a lag or slowdown in performance in games, because maybe it might just be me, and it looks like it is, because it's like I'm able to play these games and still enjoy them. Yeah, I don't notice too much of a frame rate drop in Subway Surfers, but maybe a higher end game, I actually wouldn't doubt a higher end game would lag a lot more, like Sonic Dash or something. The next game we're checking out is of course Sonic Dash, and surprisingly it's still, at best, it's almost tolerable. Actually it is tolerable, I'll say. It depends on the person. For me, I've noticed quite a bit of stuttering and a little more lag and slowdown, or the frame rate's not as good. But that's to be expected with a tablet of this caliber. I mean, for $64, it's still better than some other tablets I've seen at the price point, like the Smart Tab. But you can really start to see more stutters in this game, that's for sure. So high-end games wouldn't work too well with this. But overall, I'm still impressed with what it's capable of doing. One other thing I forgot to show is that I just put a microSD card slot in. This is actually the microSD card slot. There are 2 SIM slots here that you can put 2 different SIMs in, and that's pretty convenient. And you can also transfer apps to the SD card. The way you can do that is you go into settings, and then you go down to apps. You click on any one of the apps. We'll go with Antutu Benchmark, then you click storage, you can click change, and you can click SD card, and then we can move it there. And so this shouldn't take too long, and then you'll be able to have it on your microSD card slot. So that's definitely a nice thing. That's definitely a plus, transferring apps to the SD card without having to root it or anything like that. This will reformat the microSD card, and so you'll lose everything else that you had prior to it. So overall, this tablet seems like a decent choice to pick up for what it is at the time of this video. Again, it's about $64. Again, I'll have a link down below. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about this tablet. And leave a like if you found this video helpful, and subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks for watching.